Hello, it's Mike Curry here. It's September 2015, and this is part 2 of my car dealerships of Halifax tour, and we're starting at Mercedes Benz. Mercedes Benz has significantly expanded their product line over the last few years up until this point, and so you'll see what that's warranted is much larger facilities such as this one. It's a pretty large store, and if you go across the country here and into the United States, the stores are even bigger. Whereas only a few years back, Mercedes had a very limited product line, and they weren't selling a whole lot of cars. So now they're really branched out. One section of that dealership you'll see is the Smart section, which originally came out as these small little two-door cars in diesel originally, and it was kind of a neat concept, but it never really took off in our area in sort of Canada, the United States. We're still at that point where people like the bigger cars to a degree. Having something that's a two-seater, very small, it just didn't really catch on. So they still have those stores and they still sell some, certainly, but it's just not a big portion of the market. As I was saying in part 1, a big portion has gone to either small SUVs or small wagon type stuff. This car in front of me is a car built in cooperation with Chrysler. So you see a lot of that sort of influence. And they have, of course, what I like about Mercedes is that no matter what the economy is or what the scale, they always seem to be adaptable throughout the years. And probably part of that goes back right to the roots. Of course, Carl Benz is credited for having the first patent on the automobile back in the late 1800s. And so they kind of went from there. Not that he had, influence, perhaps some of his influence on the Perseverance side is coming through right through to today. So you can see today the dealership is closed, so there's a nice display out front here of some of their product line. And so we'll move on from Mercedes-Benz and move up the street here. A division of Mercedes is the Sprinter division, and they sell basically cargo vans. And so that market's pretty large here around here. So, because they're replacing the old classic cargo van. So this is actually a Sprinter. It's kind of a nondescript building, but it's a Sprinter repair facility. And some of the bigger clients, like I can see a Frito-Lay truck inside there. There's TDR, Transportation Logistics, up front here, and also. You'll often see some FedEx trucks, that type of thing around here. Now this is a big body cube on the back of the Sprinter. A lot of them are just like regular cargo vans, and they would replace the cargo vans such as this across the way here. You can see this this is the type of van they'd be replacing, just regular plain old cargo vans. One store across the way, of course, as I'll sweep around here, is the Toyota and Lexus facility, and it stands to reason they'd be quite large because Toyota is probably one of the largest selling manufacturers here in Canada, and they've always had a really great reputation. Once they got past their hurdles when they first came to the country in the 60s and probably through the early 70s, and once they figured out some of how to market cars to the Canadians and the Americans, they really took off and have made a huge impact on our automotive business. And today, as I said, in 2015, arguably Volkswagen's conglomerate of companies is number 1. So there's always been a rival between Volkswagen and Toyota here in this country to be the number 1 automaker, and one thing, or in the world, to be the number 1 in the world. But Volkswagen divides its brands into several things. So they have a lot more brand coverage, Whereas I would still have to, although I love my Volkswagens, have to admit that Toyota is probably would be one of the bigger automakers on the planet right now, and they probably have they've earned and deserve that right. So they make a nice product, and it appeals to the masses, and that's the way it is. I'm going to drive by. They have a Lexus showroom here, which is a little tough to see, except for you can see it right here. So it's kind of built onto the front part of this dealership. So the Lexus brand is still Toyota, but it's sort of their higher end brand. So we're just gonna drive along through here. They have some specials on here. And cruise right along here. Through here. And so you can really get a feel for their showroom. Good look at it. Another thing that's come up quite a lot in recent years is you can see how it says "Made in Canada." You know, with the manufacturing jobs leaving this country, there's been a lot of you know, that can be important to a lot of people to have a Canadian-made product. So it's a good thing to promote. Most manufacturing is going to other parts of the world, so I'm not saying that, you know, we're not going to still see a bit of a loss of manufacturing jobs here in Canada, but it is kind of nice to see a made in Canada product. So as we go up the street here, another store that just opened recently is this shop here called Robot Auto, and it's just a small automotive repair shop. As you can see, they're just kind of an aftermarket, and I think they're trying to cash in on people that come to this part of the city. We're in a part of town which is a lot of commuter traffic goes through here to get into the city in the mornings. So basically, you do have a lot of traffic going through here. So I think they want to try to capitalize on that traffic coming in through town. So it's probably not a bad location. And if someone's looking for a dealer alternative, and another part of dealerships always they need glass. So there's a Speedy Auto Glass here, and they do a lot of windshield repair and replacement on vehicles. So it's good to have all these, you know, there's always spin-off businesses whenever you have a car drag, where you have different businesses that the dealers would need to make their jobs more efficient, so that they're not one-stop shopping. This is also kind of a neat place here. There's a shop called Euroworks, and they do a lot. They specialize in Mercedes Benz, but as you can see, there's a BMW up front here, and they do a lot of work on different Mercedes Benz. They'll do Jaguars. They'll do all sorts of different types of European cars, and they've got a really great reputation. So they're kind of a neat kind of aftermarket store as well. Which is, you know, another sort of spin-off or specialty portion of the business along here. They're trying to capture, obviously, they're trying to compete with the Mercedes business, which is across the road, and trying to get that. So next on our strip here, another company that's on a rise right now. They're a big rise in 2014, and probably more than likely be on a rise in 2015, and that's the Nissan and Infiniti brand. And Nissan's been around for a long time. They make a fantastic product, but they don't have the recognition in Canada that Toyota and Honda, let's say, have. So for whatever reason, so I'm just gonna see, this showroom actually used to be an old Toyota, the previous Toyota showroom, and now it is Nissan, and they have their Infiniti store kind of on the end. So the Infiniti is their high-end brand. It's sort of like the Lexuses to Toyota. The other thing you'll notice that in Halifax, the car business is primarily controlled by two main dealer groups, and one is the Steel Auto Group and the other one is the O'Regan's Auto Group. Both are, you know, they're both good groups. They have good reputations, so which is good to see. And a lot of the smaller independent dealers are now selling out to the bigger groups. And part of that has to do with some of the pressure on the smaller independent dealers to have these big facilities. And so now to be a retailer of vehicles in this town, it's in these times, you have to have the ability to finance a large facility. So, just going to take a drive through their lot here, and where we're going to come out. So you can just get a feel for what's out here. There's a lot of used cars mixed in here. This is next here, 2015. They have the Micra, the Versa. They have some of the small cars. And small cars, it's interesting because a lot of people want fuel economy in that. It's just the small car market is not super large. I would say the SUV market seems to be capturing the attention of pretty much all the automakers. I'm going to drive up through here because we're going to go to the back side of this car lot. And what we have here is actually there used to be an old Mercedes dealer here a long time ago. And then it was a Harding Medical Supplies. And now, I'm not sure what the future holds for it, but I'm just going to show you the back side. It's mostly being used as a containment area, obviously, for some Nissan products. And it's kind of interesting dealership. It has kind of a back lot there, and then it has a pretty good sized service department. But for some reason, when they built this building, and it might have something to do with the design or what have you. I'm not sure what the reasons were, but they built it kind of too close to the road. So there's not a lot of space for customer parking as well as display. So it's kind of an awkward building, as you can see, for a car dealership. But its original intent was for a car dealership. So I'm not sure what the whole theory was or what have you, but that's what they decided to do at the time. Just gonna go along here. So as you can see, there's a lot of restaurants around here, and those are sort of an important part of the car drag for both. The amount of people that work in car dealerships is pretty enormous. So I'm gonna end part 2 of my tour right here at an old, well, I guess since past life before, several different things, but one of which was a BMW dealership. So I'm going to back up here and conclude part 2. Thank you for watching. Check out part number 3.